"You can come," my mom said, "but don't get comfortable, nobody really wants you here." I just nodded and walked out without another word. 3 weeks later, she called me screaming, because the shared cabin was listed for sale, their cards weren't working, and the family trust was emptied into a legal account with my name on it. I don't know if it was the champagne talking or just 40 years of entitlement spilling out, but I remember exactly what my mother said as I pulled into the gravel driveway. "You can come, but don't get comfortable, nobody really wants you here." That was the moment something shifted in me. I had my suitcase in one hand, a bottle of red in the other, and I didn't even look at her. I just walked right past into the cabin I bought. She said it so casually, like I was a distant relative showing up uninvited. And maybe in her mind that's exactly what I'd become. Not a daughter. Not the owner of the house they were celebrating in. Just someone inconvenient. Inside it looked like a party catalog exploded. Twinkle lights everywhere, rose garlands on the beams, gold 40 balloons tied to the railing. My cousin Mark was fiddling with the speakers, his wife was reheating catered food in the kitchen like she lived there. My parents were in the center of it all, like some kind of king and queen in a kingdom they never built. I had to step outside for air. It was like watching a play, a fantasy my family had written where I didn't exist. They all thanked each other, complimented the decorations, gushed over the food, laughed about our favorite place. Not one word about me. Not even a nod. During the toast, my dad raised a glass and said, "This place has been the heart of our family for years. We've made it our own." I nearly choked. I remembered how hard I'd worked to afford it. How many weekends I'd given up, how I'd pulled extra consulting work just to cover the closing costs. I'd bought the cabin after my divorce, hoping to build something stable, something mine. I offered it to my family as a place to use occasionally. That's all it was supposed to be, occasional. But little by little they took more. At first they'd ask before coming, then they'd just show up. Eventually I started finding food in the fridge that I didn't buy, clothes in the closets, my bedding replaced with scratchy flannel sheets that weren't mine. My mom started calling it theirs. My dad installed a grill and told the neighbors they owned the place. One of my cousins even told a friend they could rent it for the summer without asking me, so I kept letting it happen. Because I didn't want to be the difficult one. The outsider. The one who made waves. But that night, watching my mother laugh in the hot tub I installed, sipping champagne from my glasses while I sat on the porch alone, that's when it clicked. They didn't forget this was mine. They just stopped caring. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch because my childhood room had been turned into Nana's reading nook. There was a framed photo on the wall of my parents and their grandkids sitting on my dock, with a handwritten caption, "Our Little Paradise." I opened my laptop at 3 a.m. and pulled up the title documents. Then I started researching how to move a property held under a family trust into a private legal account. I already knew I could do it. The cabin was in the trust, but I'd set it up years ago with me as the primary beneficiary, assuming I'd be the one to manage it long term. I just hadn't planned to act on it. Till now. Over the next few days I made a list. I started calling people. Quietly. No announcements. No warnings. Let them laugh. Let them toast. Let them keep pretending. I would wait. I would smile at the next family brunch, bring wine to the New Year's gathering, let them sit in the sauna they loved so much. And when the time came when everything was ready, I'd take it all back. Every square foot. Not out of spite. Not even for revenge. Just because they needed to be reminded who built the thing they took for granted. After the anniversary, I went back to the city and didn't hear from them for almost a week. Not even a thank you. Not even a passing comment about the dinner. It was like I disappeared from the narrative entirely. I kept my tone normal in the family group chat. Dropped a few heart emojis on baby pictures. Answered my cousin Hannah's dumb question about the water pressure at the cabin. Just enough to keep the illusion that nothing was changing. Meanwhile, I was moving pieces behind the curtain. First thing I did was freeze the trust shared access. Quietly. The family had always assumed the trust was some collective legal blob, but I had structured it carefully when I first bought the cabin. My lawyer friend Claire had warned me about blending property with family. She told me, build it like you might have to take it back someday. I had listened. The trust account's assets were now view-only for everyone but me. I opened a new legal account and began transferring funds, starting with the rental deposits from the few weekends my cousins had sublet the place to their friends. They thought I never found out about that. But I did. Then I contacted a realtor. Not one from the local area. Too risky. I went with someone from a neighboring county under a confidentiality agreement. I told him the listing couldn't go live yet, but we needed the property prep and pricing evaluations done immediately. He didn't ask questions. Money helps with that. All this while smiling at my parents' texts asking if they could bring friends up for Labor Day weekend. I told them sure. I even helped my mom reserve the dates on the shared calendar. Let them enjoy it. One last time. A week later, I revoked the cabin's insurance policy under the trust's name and switched it under my personal coverage. That raised eyebrows. My aunt called and asked if something was wrong. She'd received a notification in her inbox. I told her it was just a paperwork thing. She seemed confused but didn't push. I didn't reply to her follow-up email. Then came the Wi-Fi. I had it shut off without notice, then waited. 3 days later, I got a text from my cousin Jake asking if I knew the router was down because his girlfriend was trying to upload something from the cabin. I said I'd look into it. I didn't. They could enjoy nature for once. The hot tub still worked. But the one thing that felt the most satisfying was canceling all the duplicate keycards. I had no idea how many copies existed at that point. My dad had made one for every sibling, every grandchild, even a neighbor. So I reprogrammed the smart lock and had the system reset with just my credentials. The best part? I didn't tell anyone. That Sunday they drove up for a family weekend without telling me, not that they ever felt they needed to, and I waited. It took about 2 hours before my phone rang. It was my mom. She didn't start with hello. Why won't the door open? I told her I didn't know. Probably a technical glitch. We've been trying every card. It's not working. You didn't bring the spare? There was a pause. She said something muffled to my dad, then came back on the line. Can you fix this? I told her I was out of town and couldn't do anything until next week. They drove back that night. 3 hours. After unpacking coolers and beach bags and lawn chairs. That's when I knew this was going to work. It wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't be dramatic. It would be quiet and cold and unstoppable. They wouldn't see the worst of it coming until it was too late. They didn't start panicking right away. That was the strangest part. For the first couple of weeks after the locks were changed, the Wi-Fi cut, the utilities shuffled out of their names. They assumed it was just a glitch. My mom left voicemails like she was calling customer service. Calm clipped entitled, saying things like just checking again, and let me know when it's fixed. My dad texted me a screenshot of an error message when he tried to access the trust's dashboard. They still didn't realize they were being locked out of something they never actually owned. I ignored them. Completely. And when that didn't work, I started getting copied on passive-aggressive emails to the whole family. My aunt forwarded one to everyone that said, not sure if the cabin system is down or if Barbara changed something without telling us. I read that line twice. Changed something without telling us. That part almost made me laugh. They had changed everything over the years. The locks, the furniture, the paint, the use of it, and not once had anyone thought to run a thing by me. My mom even turned the downstairs coat closet into a pantry because she said my system was inefficient. And now they were scrambling. Clueless. All their little assumptions unraveling. It got worse when the water was shut off. They'd gone up on a Friday night without asking, again with some friends. They didn't know I'd scheduled a plumbing inspection and had the lines shut while the realtor's crew did a survey for buyers. They called me 6 times in 1 hour. Then my dad sent me a single text. What the hell are you doing? I didn't reply. That was the weekend everything blew open. On Monday morning I was at work when my phone started vibrating non-stop. Calls, texts, emails. First it was my mom. Then my cousin Ashley. Then my aunt. Then all 3 at once. Because by then the listing had gone public. The realtor posted it to his site without the address. Just a description. Updated lakefront property with private dock, sauna, hot tub and 2 fireplaces. Serious inquiries only. They found it. Easily. And instead of calling me calmly, they started doing what my family does when they don't get their way. They ganged up. I got emails from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Some tried to play nice, saying they were confused and concerned. Others went straight to rage. My cousin Eric told me I was mentally unstable and clearly needed help. My mom accused me of acting out because I was jealous of the closeness everyone else shared. That one hit a nerve. She honestly believed that I was somehow bitter about being on the outside, as if I'd placed myself there. As if I hadn't tried for years to fit in, to contribute, to be part of something. And now, the moment I claimed back something that was mine, I became the villain. That night they tried one last move. They tried to access the trust account again. Not just to look, to withdraw funds. My dad must have thought he still had some hidden permissions. I got a fraud alert immediately. The system flagged multiple failed login attempts and a red flag transaction to a card linked in his name. I called the bank. Told them to freeze everything except my access. 5 hours later my mom called me again. I let it ring. She called back. This time I answered. She didn't say hello. What did you do? Her voice wasn't cold. It wasn't angry. It was panicked. I said the trust had been closed, the account was dissolved, and the property was being sold. All of it within my legal rights, all of it documented. There wasn't anything left for them to use. The funds were protected and yes, only my name was on the account now. There was silence for a moment. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You've ruined us." And I wanted to ask her if she ever thought about what they'd done to me. If she ever realized how it felt to buy something so personal, so sacred, and then watch everyone else treat it like a free hotel. If it ever crossed her mind that maybe, just maybe, I was tired of being used. But I didn't say any of that. I just hung up. By morning, my cousins were messaging in the group chat like someone had died. Everyone was circling around my parents, offering support, talking about how cruel I was being. Nobody asked for my side. Nobody asked why I did it. They didn't want to know. They just wanted the cabin back. And they weren't going to get it. By the end of that week, I wasn't surprised they turned everyone against me. What I didn't expect was how fast it all unraveled. Not just the relationships, but their entire house of cards. It started with my dad's pension check. Apparently, for the past year, he'd been routing it through the trust's checking account. I didn't know until the bank called to confirm the final closure. When the account was dissolved, the automatic deposit bounced. His backup funds, also frozen because he'd commingled them with trust expenses. I didn't plan for that. But I also didn't stop it. Then came the card issue. My mom had been using one of the trust credit cards for grocery runs, Amazon purchases, even random hotel stays. When I closed that account, all pending charges were declined. A week later, she showed up at her hair salon and couldn't pay. She caused a scene and left half the bill unpaid. The salon owner, one of my old high school friends. I got this story by lunch. Meanwhile, the realtor called to tell me we had 3 strong offers on the cabin. One of them was all cash. I gave the green light to move forward. Quietly, regally, without a single conversation with anyone in my family. And then one night I got an unexpected message from someone I hadn't heard from in years. It was Kyle, my older cousin's ex-husband. He and Lisa had divorced 4 years ago and the family had all but erased him, which is what they do when someone leaves the fold. But apparently Kyle still followed me on Facebook. He'd seen the cabin listing. He asked carefully if I was okay. Said he wasn't trying to get involved, but that he'd been on the receiving end of what he called the machine. He told me something I didn't know. Right after the trust was created years ago, my parents had tried to change the structure behind my back. They wanted the property legally transferred to the family's legacy estate plan, which would have given shared ownership to my dad, my aunt, and eventually all their kids. But the bank shut it down because they weren't listed as primary stakeholders. Kyle had seen the emails back then. Lisa made him read them. They'd been trying to take it from me for years. That's when I realized it wasn't just entitlement. It was a long game. I was never supposed to be the one who kept it. They assumed I'd cave, hand it over, maybe let them inherit it someday. They weren't just mad I took it back. They were mad their plan didn't work. 2 days after I accepted the buyer's offer, my uncle was hospitalized. Minor heart thing, he was fine, but the family group chat exploded. And when I didn't reply, my mom messaged me privately, blaming me. She said the stress of losing our family cabin had put him there. I almost responded. But what would I even say? That maybe his heart could have handled it better if he hadn't spent the last 3 years treating me like the cleaning lady? That maybe stress is what happens when your gravy train derails? Instead, I stayed silent. And then came the worst part. It was my daughter's birthday. They turned 8. I sent out invites to everyone in the family weeks in advance, just like I always did. Usually they came with cards and gifts and forced hugs. This time no one showed up. No calls. No messages. Not even from my cousin Rachel, who used to bake them cookies every year. The only thing I received that day was a message from my mom. It said, "We're not playing your game. You made your choice." The girls didn't understand. They asked where everyone was. I told them people were busy. They still ran around and played and blew out their candles. I made it as special as I could. But that night, after they fell asleep, I sat on the couch staring at the empty dining room chairs and realized something I wasn't prepared for. I had won, but I'd lost the war. The wire hit my account on a Thursday morning. The amount was more than I ever imagined I'd see in a single transaction. I stared at it for almost 10 minutes. It should have felt like winning something. Instead, I just sat there in my robe holding my coffee like it might explain what came next. The cabin was gone. Sold to a couple from Arizona who wanted a quiet escape and didn't care about family legacies or hot tub memories. They'd already scheduled contractors to gut the kitchen and tear out the bunk beds. It was over. Officially. I didn't tell anyone. Not my mom. Not my dad. Not even my cousin Rachel, who used to call me her sister from another mister. I just let the news come to them the same way their indifference had always come to me, silently. I didn't expect what happened next. 1 week later, my uncle's truck was photographed in the driveway by the new owner's Ring camera. He was standing at the door holding a case of beer and a fishing rod, confused out of his mind. I didn't find out until the owner forwarded the clip to my realtor, asking who this stranger was and why he had a cooler full of raw meat and nowhere to go. Apparently, they'd driven up assuming they could talk some sense into me. My dad told the new owners I had no right to sell the place, claimed it belonged to the family. The new owner told him the paperwork didn't say that. Then he called the sheriff. That's when it really started. Within days, word had spread not just through my immediate family but beyond. Third cousins I hadn't spoken to in years were posting cryptic things on social media. Screenshots of group texts got passed around. A few relatives tried to be subtle, sharing throwback photos of summer bonfires at the cabin with captions like, "Some people forget where they came from." My name was never mentioned. But it didn't have to be. The silence from the people who mattered stung more than the noise from the ones who didn't. My mother didn't call. My father didn't write. Rachel didn't even acknowledge the twins' thank you drawings from their birthday, which I sent anyway because the girls insisted. But it wasn't just the emotional fallout anymore. Something else was unraveling beneath the surface. The trust wasn't just a holding vehicle for the cabin. It had been used recklessly for years. I discovered that while sorting through the final financial closures, my dad had linked his medical premiums to it. My mom had a vanity credit card that ran through it, tied to some lifestyle site I didn't recognize. There were dozens of tiny recurring payments: magazine subscriptions, wine club memberships, one monthly fee labeled Therapeutic Horse Barn that I still don't understand. All of it collapsed when I shut the account. I didn't set out to dismantle their lives, but it happened anyway. And then quietly, without a word, they put their house up for sale. I only found out because a neighbor I barely knew texted me a Zillow link with a question mark. The listing was weirdly vague. No interior photos. No mention of the recent mold issues or the crumbling back deck. They were desperate. And within a few days the listing was pulled. No sale. My best guess is the bank intervened. Maybe they were trying to refinance and got denied. That night my cousin Jake emailed me. Not a message of peace. Not an apology. It was a single line. "You're going to regret this when they're gone." It hit me harder than I expected. Because the truth was I already did. Not the sale. Not the lockout. Not even emptying the trust. I regretted thinking that justice would feel clean. I thought taking back what was mine would give me some kind of closure. That they'd at least acknowledge what they'd done. Or maybe deep down I thought someone would say, "I'm sorry. We took you for granted." But they didn't. They just rewrote the story. Now I was the ungrateful daughter. The cold-hearted niece. The one who snapped. The one who ruined Christmas. They were so good at twisting things they probably believed it themselves. Then came the letter. A real one. In a battered envelope, no return address. Inside was a card. Just a plain white card with a handwritten sentence. "You forgot who you were raised by." No signature. I didn't have to guess. They weren't broken. Not really. Just bruised and waiting. Because people like that don't change. They regroup. They build a new story. One where they're the victims. One where I'm the mistake. And maybe they'd already started telling it. It's been 3 months since the sale finalized. The cabin's long gone. So is the trust. So is whatever family I thought I still had. Some mornings I wake up and forget it all happened. For a minute, I think I need to check the reservation calendar or remind my mom not to use the upstairs bathroom because the pipes freeze early. Then I remember I don't have to do that anymore. Nobody's coming. Nobody's asking. Nobody even has the key. The money is still there. Most of it, anyway. I haven't touched the bulk. It just sits in a high-yield account, waiting for something I haven't figured out yet. I did spend a small portion of it. On something I never thought I'd buy. Condo. Small, modern, quiet. It's just outside the city. 2 bedrooms, a balcony, and a view of trees that turn blood orange in the fall. It has heated floors, which the girls love. I bought them matching fuzzy slippers and a bookshelf filled with stories about people who do hard things. We've started reading 1 chapter every night. They don't ask about the cabin anymore. They used to. Especially right after the birthday when no one came. That was the hardest part. They asked if Grandma and Grandpa were sick or maybe out of town. They asked if Rachel forgot. They asked if the cake was the reason. I said no to all of it. Eventually they stopped asking. Kids adjust faster than adults. I think they just needed to know I was still there. I'm still there. But I'm not the same. I scroll past family photos on social media sometimes. My mom posts pictures with captions like, "Blessed to have what matters most," under snapshots of my cousin's kids playing in someone else's backyard. They've recreated the old traditions elsewhere. New lake days, new bonfires, new versions of the same old story. I'm not in any of them. Not even mentioned. My cousin Rachel got married last month. I wasn't invited. I found out through someone else's tagged photo. I stared at it longer than I should have. She wore the earrings I gave her years ago for college graduation. I don't think she even remembers where they came from. There's still a part of me that wants to send a message. Not to fight, just to say something real. Maybe something like, you hurt me, but I'm still here. But I don't, because I know how it ends. They'd twist it. They'd find a way to make me the villain again. The unstable one. The bitter one. The one who could have handled it differently. The one who lost her mind over a house. But it was never about the house. It was about being erased in a place I built. And maybe, yeah, part of me did snap. But not because I wanted to hurt them. Because I wanted to be seen. No. I am. By two little girls who know that when someone takes too much from you, you don't have to keep giving. That you can say no. That you can walk away. That you can start over. Even if it costs everything. Sometimes I still think about the cabin. Late at night when it's quiet and the dishwasher's humming and I'm folding laundry. I picture the dock, the fire pit, the way the steam curled up from the hot tub in the snow. And I wonder if the new owners replaced the porch swing or kept it. But I don't regret it. I lost a family. But I got myself back. The update. It's been a year since I sold the cabin. No one has spoken to me since. No holiday cards. No texts. Not even a generic, happy birthday message. The silence held. Not by accident but by design. They made it clear I'd been cut out and they stuck to it. The girls are doing okay. They don't talk about the family much anymore. Sometimes they ask if they'll see grandma again, but they've stopped asking when. I think that says enough. As for me, I haven't looked back. I've used a little more of the money. I started a college fund for both girls. I paid off my car. And I booked a trip for just the three of us next summer. Somewhere far with water that's a different color and no ghosts of a dock I used to own. What surprised me most this year wasn't how quiet life got. It was how peaceful that quiet became. And in that quiet I started writing again. Just little things. Journals. Pieces of what happened. For myself. Maybe someday I'll show the girls when they're older. Not so they'll take sides. But so they'll understand. You can walk away from people you love. Especially when they're the ones who made love conditional. And you can still be whole.